I think at some point I wanted to go to TZ. So I wanted like, yeah, let me do this. I'll just, since I can afford, I'll just go to TZ, like 6 months. After mama who is just there, metulia na mambo.
I remember after that meeting, my aunty, Reverend Kathy Kiuna, was there. And then she's like, what? Okay, so it's because of your dad that you're having the second wedding. I'm like, yes. She's like, leave that to me. So she's my dad's sister. So she's like, leave that to me. I'll deal with your dad. God literally sent people to cover our entire wedding. We had a 600 pax wedding with a nice live band in a very posh area, very serene. Like, wow, it was a beautiful wedding and we only paid for our rings.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Tuko Love Story. Our guest couple today, their story is going to prove to you that when they say that love and marriage deserves commitment and it is not a walk in the park, that is true. Before I speak too much, my name is Njeri Masi and allow me to let my guests introduce themselves. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Finally, you are here. Thank you for gracing our screens. And looking at that camera, you can introduce yourself to the people who are seeing you for the first time here.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Kimathi, and I am so excited to be here. Professionally, I am a writer. I specialize in CV writing. So I help people secure their jobs. I help people through the interview process. I'm passionate about making a difference for people in terms of their careers. And I'm married to one Mr. Kimathi, who's right here.
Beautiful.
Hello, everybody. Kimathi Kevin is my name. I'm a tour operator. I run a company called Thorn Expedition. And yeah, happy to be here.
We are happy to have you guys today. And because this segment, we call it Tuko Love Story, and we don't want to stretch a story. We want to dive into a love story. How did you guys meet?
I'll leave you to that.
How did we meet? That's a very good question. We actually met in high school. This was like 17 years ago. I was in Form 2, he was in Form 3. And he was dating my desk mate. That's how we met. Yeah, so this friend of mine, we're really good friends. She came and told me, guess what? I have a boyfriend. We had just come back from school holidays and I was excited. I was like, wow, okay. Tell me more about this guy. And she went on and on about how awesome he is and all these things. And I was like, that's nice. Can't wait to meet him one day. And we were a group of 4 friends. So one day we finally met the said Kevin, who was just so amazing. And I remember like it was yesterday when we met, he was just staring at me. So we're a group of 4 girls, and then he comes and we're like, oh, you're so-and-so's boyfriend. And then he's just staring at me. And I'm wondering, okay, this guy is a bit strange. Yes, he can tell us why he was staring.
For me, it was more about symmetry. The symmetry of her face was very intriguing. Like everything was exactly where it's supposed to be. Symmetry really disturbs my mind. So I was wondering, why is this person? And then I had a crush on Jordan Sparks.
The musician. Jordan Sparks.
Yeah. So I thought, hey, this mama looks like Jordan Sparks a lot. And then her face is very symmetrical. Everything is just exactly. So as I was going through that in my mind, that's where the stare was coming from. I was just like, wow, who is this human?
I can imagine how maybe awkward that was for you, because now your friend has come to introduce her boyfriend to you guys, and the boyfriend kept staring at you.
Yes.
Did you start speaking right at that point?
Interestingly, I don't remember that part, because I usually think, wait, when did we start talking? But he has his side of the story. Tell us, how did we start speaking?
One, I knew there was no way I was going to get her number at that particular point in time. So the best way was to be friends with everybody, the whole friend group. So as we were walking, we were doing the Matahatran. So we were walking and we were just vibing with everybody. I'm just trying to not just be my current girlfriends, boyfriends, but I was just trying to get everybody on my side. So I took her friend's number. Yeah, because she was laughing here and there and stuff. So I'm like, okay, so you're the one who is going to give me the other one's number.
At this point, when you realize that you're having a crush on Olivia, do you have a conversation with your current girlfriend?
Yeah, so you are vibing. See, it's just high school stories. You're just walking, just beginning. So you're making everybody laugh. Just you have a plan. So yeah, so that was really how it started. Yeah. Then I started hanging out with both of them, her best friend and her, because I knew they were always together. So I knew the only way to hang out with her was to be her best friend's friend. And yeah, we started chilling.
And the other one you were dating, what happened?
That one dumped me. At some point in time, just things just fizzled out. It was very natural. It had nothing to do with this. It just went down and it kaisha to evil.
So after how long do you guys decide to make this thing now exclusive? Now we are dating.
Well, it was a journey. Hey, that was a journey. Yes, because once his relationship ended, he now began to pursue me. And I was like, I felt like it was so out of nowhere. Like, okay. Because I didn't know the whole process in his mind. Like how he was like, oh my gosh, that's the one. Okay, I like her. Like for me, I didn't understand it that way. And so at first I was like, no. For the rest of high school. So this is Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. I'm just saying no. But he's so relentless. He's just like, will you be my girlfriend? Can we try date? Can we? And I'm like, no. Yeah. And at the time, I think I was interested in someone else. So it's just like, where has this one come from? Like for me, it wasn't making sense. But he was pretty sure that this is my wife. And I'm like, wife? Wife?
Did he ever tell you that?
I believe he eventually told me.
Did, yes.
Yeah, he did. And I was so confused.
And even when she was rejecting me, there were still girls around here and there. But I knew those girlfriends were not going anywhere. But I knew exactly who I will marry. I can't explain to you how you just know. It's just something about it. So yeah, as much as we just kept, the nose kept knowing. I just kept going. Just as much as I had a girlfriend or, I knew exactly what I wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of it was, despite me saying no, we were still friends. So we were building a friendship and I didn't realize it. So we're hanging out, we're talking. Like he said, we used to hang out in a group. Like he actually used to talk to my friend a bit more.
Yeah.
So that's why it threw me off. I was just like, wait, you're interested in me? How? Okay. So yeah, we just built the friendship over the 3 years. And then eventually, one day, the other person I was interested in started dating someone else. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's not happening. And then here's Kevin. Like, okay, will you be my girlfriend? I'm like, okay, now at this point, he had already cleared high school. And then I was in my final year, doing my final exams. And we're talking. And then I was just like, you know what? Why not? This one time he asked me. And I think he was so used to me saying no. So I said yes. And he was still explaining himself, like, why it should. And then he's like, wait, you said yes? I'm like, yeah, I said yes. And he's like, oh, okay.
Finally.
Yeah, I think, when you're anticipating something for so long, then it happens, you don't believe it. Yeah. So we started dating. And I was like, okay. My mom was like, no dating till you're done with high school. Like, that's the advice she gave me. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. So now I'm like, okay, I'm done with high school, so let me tell mom. And then I tell my mom about him, and she's like, wow, you literally waited to just finish and then start dating. I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, let me meet him. So we planned a meeting. How was that?
We literally went for an interview before. Very interesting, but yeah. I met the mom. And she was really cool. She was really motherly. You know, she's just, I thought it was going to be a beat down, you know, like, why? You shouldn't. But she was really cool. She really welcomed me. We just vibed. We just talked.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, maybe this is going to work. And yeah, that's how it started. That's how it really
Maybe
started.
you can tell us, for someone who's watching this interview, would be interested, when you meet the mom, what kind of conversation did you have?
It was basically, who am I? Who am I really? What are my values? Where am I going? School, you know, so such things. Just who am I really? I had to really, and then she's a Christian. You know, again, you can't hide as much from, she prays and stuff. So I knew, okay, so I can't really hide much. God will tell her.
Yeah.
So either way, I might as well just be me. So yeah, I was just me. I was just really me. Just told her everything. And yeah, she told me, now you probably have to meet the dad. And that was... and this is just starting to date this lady. But anyway, yeah.
Did you feel like they were giving you so much pressure?
For me, I think it wasn't pressure. It wasn't pressure really, because I knew exactly what I wanted. It was not pressure. It was more of, this is we're going through this, so let's just do it. Yeah. If it's a no, it's a no. It might as well just be a no, and nijue sasa. Move on quickly. Yeah. So yeah, I would have preferred if it was that way. Yeah. So it worked.
Okay. So before we get into your dating phase in it now, Olivia, for you, when you said yes to Kimathi, did you feel like you betrayed your best friend?
Interesting. No, I didn't. I can't remember if we had a conversation about it, but there were no hard feelings. I don't think it was serious. You know, I mean, young love, high school love. It's never really that serious. So our friendship was fine. In fact, we became even closer. Yeah, it was fine. It really was. And remember, we were a group of 4 friends. So we were all really tight. And I don't know, somehow it was never an issue for anyone. Not even the other girls asked me, hey, what's... I don't know, somehow it was fine. Somehow.
Because he didn't die because of this.
Yeah.
Ours was just...
So...
That could be the reason.
Yes,
maybe that's why things still worked out for you as friends and for you in this relationship.
Yes, and then there was time. Remember, this is almost 3 years later. So it's like, yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, it was easy.
Okay. So take us through your dating phase. I know that's an interesting story, and that is why we are here. So I'm going to sit back, guys, and we listen to this story together. Take us through that phase.
So I'm just like, wow, what a ride. So you see, we've met in high school. He knows I'm his wife. I'm not sure, because I was just like, I don't even know what I want to study in uni. How can I be sure this is my husband? I don't think I'm equipped to make such a decision. But anyway, let's roll. Let's flow. My personality is very easygoing. I'm like, okay, let's see. So we start dating, and I remember one of the things I loved so much about this relationship and about Kevin is he taught me so much that I didn't know. Well, there are many things. I think I was so sheltered. I grew up so sheltered. Like, let me give you an example. The day I finished my last KCSE paper, we met in town because my school was on Valley Road, so I just walked down with my friends. And then, until that day, I had never entered a matatu.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know how to drive. I didn't know. So he taught me. He was like, okay, go to the stage, let's go. So I think we took a matatu to Westlands.
Westlands, yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is a whole new world. Crazy. Yeah, so he just taught me how to be street smart. He showed me where deals are. He's like, no, you shouldn't pay that price for something like that. Let's go downtown. I show you. I'm like, oh. It was just an adventure. I loved it. He took me on a date to, what's it called? Uhuru Park. We went to Uhuru Park on a boat ride. I was like, this is just so awesome. Yeah, I was just so green. And I just enjoyed the simplicity of the relationship. And we continued to build a friendship in the relationship. But now, this girl, I felt like the relationship was a bit too intense in terms of, he's said, this is my wife, we're doing this for life. And so he's approaching the relationship with that seriousness. Yeah, I'm like, I'm just having fun. I'm just seeing where this is going. It's not that deep. So I realized, I don't think we're on the same page. And this might end really badly for one of us. Sana this one. But I also realized I really cherish Kevin as my friend. So I need to save this friendship by ending the relationship. And I was in this phase where I just wanted to explore life. Remember, I'm discovering new things. So I'm like, at that point, all my friends are dating these bad boys. Do you know what I'm like? Just the goody two shoes here who's so serious. No, I need some spice in my life. Who?
Jokes on you.
Jokes on me. So I ended the relationship after 6 months. Only 6 months. I remember, okay, he'll tell us how he felt when I ended it. But I remember going to tell my mom, by the way, Mom, I ended the relationship. And you know what my mom asked me? Oh my gosh, how is Kevin? I'm like,
you're not even asking me how
and
am
me?
I?
She's like, no, you'll be fine. That boy really loves you. I was like, I know. But then I explained to her where my head was at and kept him as my friend. Do you want to tell us how that was for you?
It was definitely, hard. I mean, it's just this person that you love. Then it's young love, it's the intense one that you're just dumb a bit, you just. But I really enjoyed the friendship. I really enjoyed. Sometimes, I think I would treat her more like my boy. Like we were friends. We were friends more than we were dating. As much as I really loved her, we were still friends. So I completely understood where she was at, and said, okay, so I mean, we might as well keep the friendship. If this thing is to happen, it's to happen. If not, so I'm very factual. Like if it's not happening, it's not happening. If it's happening, so we move on. So yeah, that was it.
So you didn't even try to fight for it, like, tell me my mistakes, I can rectify, blah blah blah.
Did I really? I don't remember if I did.
Even I don't remember.
I don't.
But
think
I'm sure you did a bit. I mean, you loved me, and it felt
yeah,
like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm sure. Mwanaume kujitetea tu kiasi hapa kule, but
yeah,
it wasn't that now it's over. You get my point. So yeah, we just decided, okay, so let's be friends. Let's move on.
And that was it.
Yes, but now for me, so remember I'm like in my bad boy phase and whatever. So there's a bad boy who had seen me and was trying to pursue me soon after, like literally days after. And I was like, you know what? Why not? It's fine. Meanwhile, Kevin is still my bestie. Like, this is my best friend. Like, we talk every day, but we're not dating. It was quite confusing in the beginning because it's like, we're doing everything that a dating couple do in terms of communicating and hanging out, but technically I'm someone else's girlfriend. So I remember when anything big would happen, Kevin would be the first one. Like literally, he was the first one. There was this one time, I don't know if you remember, I was going to hang out with my new boyfriend and some friends, and when I was in a bus. So now, 'cause remember, Kevin has taught me how to jam.
Yeah.
I'm a big girl now. So I was taking a bus to, I think, Lavington to hang out with now this new guy and friends. And then in the midst of that, my phone was stolen. Someone pickpocketed. Thankfully, I had 2 phones at the time. So I was able to still call with the other one. So when I got off the bus and I realized, oh no, my phone has been stolen, I panicked. I was so scared. I think I first called my dad to tell him, Dad, this just happened. But then now the next time, I think a day or 2 later, when I was going to hang out with my boyfriend and friends again, I was so scared to get on the bus by myself. I was like, oh my gosh, what if there's another pickpocket? So who did I call? Kevin.
Olivia.
To take me, like to take the bus with me.
To go to your now new boyfriend.
Yes. And he agreed, imagine. Do you remember that?
I think I remember something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think I actually blew off a date. Like I think I was going to meet another girl or something.
Hey.
So I was like, let me kill this one,
my God.
and I come back. Because this one I really like. This one I really like. The other one is just,
A placeholder.
hey, my name too. So I was like, hey, Peleka, you. Anyway, I know where it's going. It'll still come back this way, so I might as well protect my thing. So what I ended with Arudi.
I am loving the faith.
Right?
I know where this one is going.
Me, I had no
You will
idea.
still come
Me, I
back
was
to
like,
me.
this is over. I
knew.
mean, you're my friend.
I don't know how I knew, but I knew.
Wow. Yeah, I remember even when I had always said I want to get a nose piercing and I was so excited about it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going. So it's me and my bestie who were both going to get, and then Kevin took us. I still have a boyfriend somewhere, but
But the boyfriend is not being called. I'm done.
Imagine, like, he just found out, oh yeah, she got a nose piercing.
Let's get this straight. When you've called Kelvin to take you to your to help you take a matatu to go to your current boyfriend, what conversation are you guys having in this journey?
We're just speaking stories.
Imagine just friends.
I was even laughing at her, I think.
Yeah, he was like, oh my
laughing
gosh,
at
your
her.
phone was stolen. Aki, oh yeah. Now he was telling me what to do, what to look out for. He was like, yeah, you have to be wise on these streets. And I was like, wow, okay. Imagine it was just purely, we've always had such a good friendship. And I guess that was the baseline for the relationship. I just didn't know. So now fast forward a few months later, Mr. Bad Boy, of course, breaks my heart. Of course. How else will it end? Man, and I don't know why I didn't see it coming. You'd think it's so obvious, but clearly I had a lot to learn. So I think he broke up with me. That's the only person in this world who's ever broken up with me. And I felt so bad. I called Kevin. Again. And I'm just like, imagine this happened. I was feeling so bad. I was like crying probably. And he really encouraged me, imagine. And he just told me, no, it's his loss. Nini. He really made me feel nice. But I was like, oh no. And I felt so bad. I felt like this was God punishing me for what I did to Kevin. Like, gosh, I had a good guy and I just left him for this other one. Like, okay, maybe I deserve this. Am I it's karma? Am I it's what? I don't know. And Kevin was like, no, don't talk like that. Yeah. And he was just there for me and helped me through the process of healing.
And you healed.
And I healed.
Tell me you went back to Kelvin.
No. I didn't.
No, we didn't.
So for a good 7 years, I dated other people. He dated a few. I mean, did you date?
Hey, I dated. We painted this town red proper. But yeah, I knew. Okay, at some point again, it gets to a point where now, you're having fun. You're Maliza high school, Nini, you're doing things are happening. So you're having fun and all that. And I remember every time I almost forgot her, she would text me. Every single time. And I would be like, like maybe every time maybe there was something serious with somebody, like I was just trying to give somebody else, okay, fine. So she would text me, hi friend, how are you? Oh, it's been a minute.
We go back to factory settings.
Back to factory settings.
So yeah, so that's how the 7 years were for me. It was just, many girls here and there, having fun, just doing what teenagers do, going for parties and all that. And yeah, trying, just moving on. And just that particular point, she would text. At that particular point, and I didn't even know I was trying to forget her. Like I was just doing my thing, and then she texts, and then kind of takes me back, a certain place. I'm like, hey, okay, how are you though? I'm still caring about her stuff. So yeah, that was that.
Do you still go back to dating bad boys? Ama this time you have learned kidogo?
Punishment.
I had not learned. So I thought I had done better. I met this one guy who I actually dated for 3 years. So all through uni, I was with one person. At that time, we were just friends. In fact, we talk very little now.
Yeah.
Yes. So for 3 years, I dated this guy. Honestly, in my mind, he was the one. I felt like he ticked every box. But for people on the outside looking in, they were like, are you sure? Let me paint the picture for you. This guy was, he was my age. We were, at the same level in life. We're both in uni, but we're in different schools. He was Mr. Tall, dark and handsome. I was like, yeah, this is it. And he was a rugby player. That should have been my sign because, people in that field, they have a reputation. But I was like, no, my guy is different. Like, for real, he's different.
You don't know my man.
You don't know my man, you guys. So we used to spend all the time together. Like, literally, I had evening classes. So we'd spend the whole day together, just hanging out, whether it's his house, my house, wherever, doing things. And then in the evening, I would go to class. He would even take me, like walk me to school. And then he'd go for his training. After training, most days, we would meet for like coffee or dinner. And then now I go home, he goes home. So in my head, it's like, where is the time to cheat even? Because people are like, no, rugby players are not faithful. And I'm like, literally, this guy is always with me. And when we're at home, we're on the phone throughout, we're texting throughout. Like, me, I was like, this is solid, right? Hey, joke was on me. So remember, I'm with this guy 3 years. I think it was 1 year in, I saw a text on his phone or something, and I was like, okay, so this was a red flag and I didn't see it. His best friend was female. But I think because in my mind, one of my best friends is Kevin. It's like, yeah, it can happen. Male and female. But I remember being uncomfortable and I couldn't understand why. But I think I quickly told myself, no, that's just an insecurity. Like, it's fine. But then they were really close. I was like, okay, yeah, Kevin and I would say were best friends at some point. But I think he respected that I was in a relationship, so there was the space. But this other girl on this end,
there's no boundaries.
Nah, no boundaries. So there's one time he told me that this girl is coming over to hang out. So he told me and him can't hang out that day. And I was like, what? Okay.
Why?
Yeah, and I was like, why are you meeting at your house? Can you meet somewhere else, like at a restaurant or something? And he was like, no, it's cheaper, so it's what, but it's easy, don't worry. And I was like, I remember being uncomfortable. I was like, hey, I don't know about this. But I was like, let me not bring it up.
Red was your favorite color.
Right? Red. But, so now they hang out. So I think the next day I was hanging out with him and I was using his phone for something, and then she texted when I was holding the phone. So I was just like, by the way, I never thought anything of it. Of course, I just opened it. I was like, oh, Nani has texted. And I'm giving the phone. I'm like, wait, that looks like a bit of a suggestive text. I was like, what's this about? And I was like, no, that's just a joke. That's just banter. Banter. It's just a joke. You don't get it. And I was like, I feel like I'm uncomfortable, but okay. Imagine when I look back, that's the only moment I had a question mark. And this is 1 year in. So I stayed for another 2 years. Imagine not thinking anything. Like I let that go. So now year 3, I realized, this was so interesting. I had a dream. I was sleeping, had a random dream. And in this dream, I see this particular girl who was a former classmate of mine from primary school. And I'm walking, and then she comes up to me and she's like, by the way, there's something going on between me and your boyfriend. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, that's strange. But it felt so real. Like when I woke up, I was like, what was that? I remember her face, I remember her name, and I'm like, that is so strange. So a few days later, we bump into this said girl. And I'm like, what? And then I realized they know each other. And I'm like, hiya, we were in school together, you guys. So then I was like, wait, what was that dream? What's happening? So then I started to think, hey, maybe God is trying to show me something. Because at this point now, I was pursuing my relationship with God. I was like, I want to grow spiritually. I felt like there was this emptiness. I was like, I have all these friends. I have this boyfriend. I'm pretty popular in this rugby field because everyone knows this is Nani's girlfriend. And I remember I was just on top of, I was feeling like I'm on cloud 9, like everything's going well. But then slowly but surely things started going south. So now you see I'm having this kind of dream, like, okay, now I'm pursuing God because I feel like with all these things, I'm still empty.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, since I was brought up Christian, I wasn't going to church. I was like, let me be serious with my walk with God. But now I didn't realize that now walking closely with God meant other things will start falling off, things that are not of Him. Yeah. It started with my friendships. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just started having issues with my friends. And I'm wondering what's happening. Kidogo, my grades are not doing well. And I'm like, I've always been an A student. What's happening? Oh, yeah, I'm going out a lot. I'm missing classes because I'm hanging out with my boyfriend, his friends. Oh, my gosh. So I just feel like my life is upside down. Then now I'm having this dream. And now I'm starting to think, wait, is there something? And I remember I said, okay, so for me, I can play mind games. I really can. And so I was like, I'm going to get this information out of this man. He thinks he's smarter than me. I'll show him. So I just sat him down one day and I was just like, hey, I've gotten some information and I want to clarify with you. So I asked him, what's going on between you and... No, is there anything you want to tell me? Is there anything I should know from you and not anyone else? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, you're sure? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. And what about I mentioned the girl's name? Of course, his demeanor changed a bit, but he's like, no, nothing. I'm like, okay, I know everything. So you might as well tell me before I tell you.
From a dream.
Yeah, from a dream that I'm not even sure. It's just... But I sounded like I have facts. I told him, I know. I've mentioned her name. And he's like, hey, okay. So eventually he tells me, okay, yeah, there's something. I was shocked. Jenny, I thought I was going to faint. I was like... But I had to keep my composure. I was like, tell me everything. Wow, kumbe it wasn't just that one. There were multiple girls. All his trips due to which countries. I'm like, wow. But then now I kept telling him, okay, tell me about the other one. There's another one. I was bluffing, but he told me everything. And I was like, what? Hey.
Karma, is that you?
Karma, is that you?
And you called Kevin again?
Did I call you?
No, you didn't. At this particular point, we're not even talking that much.
Yeah.
We're not even talking that much. It was just the occasional hi, how are you? Just how you check on a friend after 6 months, after 7 months, after even a year. I think we even did a year without even talking. Yeah. There's even a point I even deleted a number. I deleted a number, but the problem is I never forgot her number. So it was always so... I was like, wow, okay. Anyway, my mind can delete this number.
As we would talk like once in a while, we'd catch up like, oh, are you dating? Are you single? What's happening in your life? So for me, I think for years, it was, I'm still with so-and-so. I'm still with him. So I think he was like, hey, Amen. Okay. Until now, this time, I think he asked me, and I was like, no, that ended. And he's like, what? It did? I'm like, yeah, that one. I was played a good one.
So after the 3 years relationship with a cheating boyfriend, you get into another relationship?
No, at this point, I'm like, it's me and Jesus. I'm glad. So I was graduating at around that point, and now I had just started my first job. So I was like, let me just focus on work and God.
That's it.
Yes, even my friends, I had fallen off with so many of them. I was just like, I had fallen out with them. I was like, you know what? Jesus, it's me and you. Let me give God a chance. I felt like for a long time I was pursuing the God of my mother, you know. Like he wasn't my God. I didn't know him. So I was like, okay, God, let me give you a chance now. And I felt so broken. I felt like, hey, I've been played. Like, yeah, I can invest 3 years and think this is it. This is because I had this dream in my mind that by 23, I'll be married. By 25, we start having babies. By 30, we're done. That was, you know, I had painted it. Hey, so at 21, the relationship ends. And I'm like, oh, Lord. Yeah, 2 years to be. But now my mind is not on dating. So I'm just like, forget that plan. Let's see what God's plan for me is. And as I continue to pursue God, I found myself in ministry. I did a 1-year internship and began to do missions. So I was like, maybe my husband is somewhere on the mission field, not even in this country.
The pulpit.
Yeah,
Preaching
I
and
was
serving God.
sure my husband is a preacher or a missionary, at least. Like that one I was sure. And I remember Kevin and I would talk now. Now we're friends, so we'd talk a bit more.
Yeah, we started talking again.
Yeah.
Just more frequently. Yeah.
And I remember one time I was sharing with him what I picture for my life and how, there's a preacher somewhere or a missionary because this is the life I've chosen. This is, then, do you know what he told me? Yeah, he told me, no, you're going to marry a businessman. And I was like, businessman? I'm not even business oriented. I don't care about business. Like, why would I even be with someone in business? Why would I bother? And he was like, you'll see, you'll tell me. What were you thinking when you're telling me that?
I'm trying to remember. But I think I went back to what I really wanted. One she was God-fearing. She was now pursuing God. So it was very attractive for me. So she was the ideal wife. So I was like, okay, so this is actually happening. And me, I'm not a preacher. Yeah, I'm actually backstage, kabisa. Me, I'm not even in the pulpit anywhere.
You're a businessman.
Yeah, I'm a business
so
guy.
You're saying that because you think it's you.
Me also, like, okay.
He didn't think he knew.
It was a matter of if, it was when.
And me, I was clueless. Even when he said businessman, I didn't think of him. I was just like, a businessman? My mind was elsewhere.
And at this particular point, I'm still I'm still dating. I'm still doing things here and there. But then again, business has started picking up. And I really didn't want to make money a lot, like start making a lot of money and then start looking for a girlfriend. So I really wanted to build with somebody, because now again, a factual bit of it. If I'm to get money and start looking for a girlfriend, I'll start wasting time. You'll start wasting my time all the time. So I need somebody who understands, like I can trust. Basically, that's what I wanted. I can trust. Somebody I can trust. So as I was building that is when she's telling me all these things. I'm like, so you
marry a businessman.
You
come back here.
Yeah, so in the midst of that, I'm praying, and now I'm getting to the point where I think I'm ready for marriage. I'm ready for a serious relationship that will lead to marriage. So I start praying for it intentionally. So I'm there praying, they're trusting God and wondering, opening my eyes, like, hey, who's seeing me? I'm not seeing someone here seeing me. I'm just like, hey, I do know. I felt like it has to be someone new, someone I don't know. Like, I definitely haven't met my husband yet. And so, hey, I made a few mistakes now. Now we are believers. We are pursuing God. We are dating right. You know, but I didn't give God time to guide me. I was telling him what I desire and running with it. Like, I feel like I was praying, like, okay, God, so there's this one. Is he the one? Yeah, he is. Okay, let's go. You know, I wasn't pursuing God the right way. Yeah, I was forcing my way, but labeling it as
God's will, God's plan.
Yes, but I remember there was one who I thought, okay, yeah, this is it. This must be it. In fact, it was the one. Oh my gosh, how did I forget about this? This guy was actually the one. Remember in high school when I was interested in someone else?
The crush.
Yeah, that crush. So now, fast forward to all these years later, he's now interested in me. He's single, I'm single. We're like, okay, hanging out. Let's see where this is going. And it looked like it was heading somewhere serious. But I remember my best friend telling me, I'm not feeling this guy. And I was like, what? You've never not liked a guy that I'm into? She was like, no, this one. And I was like, that's so strange. Okay. But we have history. Like from high school, like we know each other. We have this friendship. Like it makes sense. He's a believer. You know.
You don't know him like
You don't know him like I do. Then she was like, you know what? Hey, I think this thing is getting serious. So she was like, let me just try and start liking this guy. So we'd hang out, the three of us, a lot. But she was still like, no, there's something. And me, I was so smitten. It was just like, this is it. Hey, Lord, Then I remember one time we were talking and I asked him something about myself and he was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, that's obvious. Like, how don't you know that about me? Then when I sat with it, I realized, wait, we talk about him a lot. I'm interested in his life, in his world. I know so much about him. We don't really talk about me. Wait a minute. So that's when I decided to pull back. I was like, let me take a few steps back. I told him, listen, I want to pursue God about this relationship. And then meanwhile, he's not saying, you know, like Kevin, what I like about Kevin is that he's direct. He's like, this is where my head is at. This is how I'm feeling. This one, I was really guessing. I'm like, okay, we're talking every day. We're hanging out every day, but he's not said anything. I didn't like that. So I said, let me take time. I told him, hey, as long as we're talking, I can't hear God. So please, let's take a break. I need to go on. I think it was a 21-day fast. I need God to speak to me clearly because me, I'm not making a mistake again. And so for 21 days, I didn't talk to this guy. I was praying. And when I finished the fast, I didn't have an answer. I just felt like, I don't know. So now, but I was excited to talk to him again. Hey, in those 3 weeks, the guy moved on. I was like, oh my gosh.
That was your answer.
You really want that was my answer. Gosh. I said, okay, fine. Back to the drawing board. Yes. And then what happened after that? I think, I know what happened. So I continued to do ministry. I got another crazy heartbreak in the middle there. This one guy we worked together, so we're serving, hey, my mission, I remember my vision.
Finally,
I was like, hey, man of God, he's interested in me. But not because we're in the same office, he's like, no, let's keep it on the down low. Let's not, publicize this thing. This is between me and you. Let's see where it's going.
I don't like my things public.
Yeah, I don't like my things public. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind, but you know what? Whatever you want. Hey, Kumbe. That was his side piece. Hey, there was another mama in the office who was now his main one. But they were also hiding. So I think he had. And then somehow he made sure me and her, of all the ladies in the office, me and her just never clicked. We never hung out much. And then I realized he was actually feeding me things in my mind about her, like negative things. And subconsciously, I just wrote her off and I didn't try to, yeah, and we're all there serving God, going on missions. But yeah, so I remember the day that there was one mission we went for and she was my roommate. For the first time we were on the same team, then we're in the same room. Hey, day one, we're just talking, chatting, and then she mentions that her and this guy, I'm like, wait.
My man of God.
My man of God is your man of God. Then when I looked back, I was like, No wonder he was so cold on the trip, because he was there as well. And the whole drive to, I think we were going to Uganda. From Nairobi to Uganda, he's not talking to me. Which was so strange. I was like, what's up with him? But he's just like, no, I'm just... In fact, when I was sitting next to him at some point, because he was driving, so we were taking turns to sit in the co-driver's seat because it was the most comfortable seat. So when it was my turn to sit there, well, when she was sitting there, they were talking, chatting. I was just like, oh, okay, interesting. When I sat there, he put on his headphones and just drove. And I was like, and when I tried to just say something, you know, I mean, this is my guy. He's like, you don't want to talk? I'm like, what's happening? So she noticed also. So now when we were in the room, she was like, hey, is there a story between you guys? I'm like, yeah, there is. She's like, wait, what? So she tells me, hey, there's a thing. And I'm like, hey, man, that guy, he played us. Imagine. So, and then now when we confronted him about it, he was like, no, me and Olivia are just friends. I was like, we are. Oh. So it's me. He's like, no, she's always been interested in me, but I said, wow, let me show myself the door. And I was like, okay, fine. And even her, she was so mad. She was like, how can you do this? But they ended up dating. I was like, okay, I think you are just trying to eliminate the problem, which was me. Sour, guys, I'm out. I remember being like, I don't want to work here anymore. No, it was awkward in the office. People know. It was just like, So then, thankfully, at the time, I was praying and telling God, you know what, God, I want to go to Bible school. I want to just have a change of scenery. I want to learn. I want to grow. And I want to be in a different cultural context. So please open a door for me in the States. And as I prayed, I felt like Texas is the place. I was like, okay, I have a few relatives there. Maybe it's viable. So thankfully, my mom and I went on a trip to Texas at some point. I remember saying, we were going for, I think, a month. And I was like, when I come back, I don't want to come back and work here. And so I quit my job. I was just like, yeah, by faith, I'm going to go find a school and just move on. And I was so convicted. I was so sure that, yeah, I'm going to Bible school. I'll find a school. And so I handed in my resignation and took 1 month's leave. So my notice was my leave. I was just like, I'm done with this place. And I went to Texas. I found a school. I was excited. I said, okay, when I get back home, I'm going to apply. And I'm going. Bye, everyone, and your drama. So that was like October 2017. And then I come back November. I apply. I'm excited. And then I hear back from the school and they're like, thank you for your application, but we're not currently enrolling international students until now next year, September. I'm like, what? I've quit my job. I thought I was going in January. I thought I just had November, December, then I go. Oh my gosh, now what happens? So I didn't know. I was so confused and I was like, hey God, did I not hear you correct? What's happening? Meanwhile, Kevin and I are now talking, but just as friends. Finally. So then when I looked back, I realized, yeah, for the last 2-3 months, we've been talking like every week. Oh, interesting. But I didn't think anything of it.
In fact, even me, at that particular point, I didn't even think, I didn't even want to. In fact, my plan was...
Tell us.
My plan was, I had already seen the Kenyan Kawaida girl, yeah? So I knew character development chances
constant.
are... you know, it's either this or that. It's either you're the one who'll be shy. You know, it's either, it's just something. It's either your money, it's either, you know, now I had a car, had a big car, so it was just very boring for me because you can just see through it.
Yeah.
So my plan was, I think at some point I wanted to go to TZ. So I wanted like, yeah, let me do this. I'll just, since I can afford, I'll just go to TZ, like 6 months. tafuta mama who is just there, ametulia na mambo.
Because they're so respectful.
They're so respectful,
mapenzi
nini and all that.
shikamoo.
Because it's bothering my mind. This thing needs to happen for me as I'm progressing. So the more I'm progressing, the more it's pressing me. I'm like,
I need a wife.
I need a wife here quickly because it's taking too long. I'll go to TZ, I'll tafuta mama nice nini. Nimalizane nayo nirudi Nairobi and she's the wife. And taking care of the home, nifanya biashara huko, nitafute pesa. So, yeah.
So at this point, you have removed Olivia from your hesabus kabisa.
Yeah, again, si pia mtu uchokanga tu kiasi. So, just here or there,
Hata ya meringa sana.
All these years.
7 years.
Yeah. Plus now the 3 years of high school. So it's like 10 years.
Hata
Like,
wewe hapana.
even me, I'm not thinking about it at
And
this
then the
point.
problem is, even dating, sometimes I'd find myself trying to find an Olivia.
Oh yeah.
You get? I'm trying to find an Olivia. So that used to bother me as well. Like, why do I need to find an Olivia? I can just, but I tried here and there. It was just boring. It was just
Before Olivia tells us whatever happened after, now she's not going to the Bible school or whatever. Did you go to Tanzania?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So biashara is picking up and stuff and all that, and it gets very busy. And then my dad passed on in 2015. So then now I started telling God, okay, so God, now I need to be a good husband. I need to be a good father. I need to be, a good businessman and be all-rounded. And because I can't jifanya that I know everything, I'll leave this to you. You guide me. Show me who will guide me to be a good husband. Show me who will guide me to be a good father. Just mekuachia your story. And, now my YouTube started changing. And, I'm Miles Monroe every day and just trying to understand what this thing called being a husband is really like, being a model, being a good husband, proper. So yeah, that was, now we are talking with her and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm not even at this particular point, I'm not even trying to be a good husband so that I be a good husband to her. Like, it was just,
You are working on you.
I was just working on me. Yeah.
And we are talking.
And we're just
That's
beginning
literally
stories
what
and
it
stuff,
was.
sharing verses. Oh, I find out something about, I'm texting her, I'm like, did you see this? Did you see this about David? Did you see? Like, so this thing is really intriguing me.
Yeah.
So that's where I was at.
Yeah, and so for me, I'm excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, you found God. This is so awesome. I'm so happy for you.
Yeah.
But that's it. And then I remember now in that same season, his sister fell ill. And so he was also very preoccupied with that. Trying to, support her. Yeah, going for doctor's visits and all these things. So we were praying for her healing. Like, that's something we would talk about.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're just doing life as friends. And then I remember, this is now 2017, towards the end, I have found out I'm not going to Bible school as soon as I wanted. And I'm like, oh man, okay, fine. But that year we went on a trip as a family in December. One of my sisters was in school abroad. And so we were like, okay, instead of you coming, let's come and have a winter Christmas. And so I remember we went, all of us, as a family. And remember, I'm talking to Kevin. But now we're talking on WhatsApp. And I was like, I don't have Wi-Fi here. So the first few days we tried to talk, but the communication was so bad. I was like, you know what? Let me focus on being here with my family. And then, we'll talk when I come back. But I would check up on him a lot because of his sister. I'm like, how's she doing? At this point, she was in India for treatment. So I just check up and see how they're doing. And then, so he's like, no, you enjoy yourself. So we'll talk when you come back in the new year. Okay, great. See you. And then now, I was immersed in that. And then I remember being on Facebook one day. My sisters were even reminding me, was it yesterday, how we were in our hotel room just chilling. All of us are just on our phones catching up because now we have Wi-Fi. And then I just sat up and I was like, oh no, oh my gosh. And then my sisters were like, okay, what's up? And I was like, wow. So I had seen on his profile, on his Facebook profile, people were sending him condolences. And I was like, oh no, I can't believe this has happened when I'm not there, when we're not talking. So I felt so bad. I reached out to him. I was like, I've heard, I've seen. I'm so sorry for your loss. How are you doing? Is everything okay? When I come back, I need to hang out with you. I'm so, like, I think it was like 3 days or so. I was coming back. I was like, I'll definitely look for you. And he's like, yeah, of course it's tough, but yes, thank you. So I will see you. And I remember just thinking, gosh, I need to go back home and be there for my friend. And so we come back in January, and immediately I look for him. I think we landed like at 6 a.m. By 9, I was like, hey, where do I come? So what I realized is we were talking, we were friends, but I didn't even know where he lived. Like, that was so interesting. You didn't know where I lived.
I didn't know.
It's
You
very
guys had
interesting
moved.
because we had moved.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys had
so you had
moved.
not come to the new place. So I was like, hey, where am I coming? And then he's like, no, actually, I need a change of scenery. Like, I don't want to be in this environment. So can I come to you? And I was like, yeah, sure, of course. So I sent him our address and he came. And then, that was now the beginning of the shift. But we didn't know. I mean, he's grieving. I'm just supporting my friend. We're just, doing life. And he told me categorically, please, just be normal. Like, don't treat me like I have some sort of deformity or something. Like, yeah, we understand what has happened, but I just need some sort of normalcy. So let's just hang out. Let's just live life. I was like, okay. So now I'm so community oriented. Like, you can tell from the first day, like, my mom is involved in this relationship, you know. So my mom was at home that day. She was like, I remember you. Now this time he looks so different. My mom was telling me the other day, she was like, hey, he used to be so skinny. The first days he was like thin. Now this is later. He's made money. He's lived life. He's put on weight. He's looking good. So she's like, hiya, okay, welcome. Of course, she's so sad about his loss. But then we hung out and he meets all my friends. I had a big group of friends who were in my business. I was in there. So he just joined the party. So we would just do things together, and he really enjoyed their company. But he was like, all these guys you're hanging out with, there's nothing with no one. And I'm just like, no, these are my brothers in Christ. Literally. And bro-zoned everyone. And I was just like, I'm just waiting. I'm trusting God for my husband somewhere, somehow. But so we're just doing life, supporting him, taking him for these meetings, planning the funeral and all that. I remember now the funeral service. I was an outsider. I didn't know his family like that. So I said, I'm not going to try and sit with them. Like, I'll just be in the pews somewhere in the back. I didn't know anyone. I went alone and I didn't know anyone. But I was like, I'm here to support my friend. I'll talk to Kevin after. I remember just watching them, going through the service, being prayed for and all that. I just kept staring at Kevin. Like, I was just looking at him. And I think I was just feeling so sad for him. But then also I realized, wait, this is a feeling I have. I think I'm falling in love with him. Finally. But then I'm confused. I'm like, must be all the grief. Like, what is happening? But I remember looking at him and I'm just like, hiya. Oh, he's actually cute. Okay, I think I care. Anyway, but I just shook it off and I was like, whatever, moving on. I shake off that feeling. I'm like, you know what? This is not even the time to think about that. His mind is not there. Mine is not there. So we just continue hanging out. And now we're getting closer and closer. And I actually we had this very interesting experience. I guess it was a spiritual experience. I began to feel his emotions. Like, we'd be hanging out and he seems fine. He's smiling, he's laughing, he's okay. But I would feel this sadness out of nowhere, this heavy grief. And I was like, what is that? and I just feel like crying out of nowhere. I just feel so sad, and I'm like, this is strange. Then I ask him. No, we're talking, and then now I probe him, and he starts telling me how he's really feeling. And then I'm like, it's what I'm feeling. I'm like, I'm literally feeling what you're feeling. Like I can feel the heaviness. That's interesting. So we started connecting on such a deep level. Like now the friendship took on another level. But we're not talking about it. We're not talking about feelings or anything. We're all just living life. And then one day, I remember I was like, hey God, what is this? So now this is a month later. Even my birthday, my 25th birthday in Feb, I was excited. All my friends are there, and he took me on a date in the morning. Went for a breakfast date. Kumbe, my sisters were planning a whole surprise, and he was the one now distracting me.
I was distracting as the rest were planning the rest.
Yeah, and I didn't know. And then the day just unfolded so beautifully, and I was like, wow. And he was there the whole day, and I was like, this is so nice. This is really, really nice. What is happening here?
At this particular point,
we are not talking about it.
I really don't want a wife. Because in Kenya, no.
You're tired.
Kenyan girls,
tired.
no.
Me, I want to go somewhere, mtu amenyenyekea na mambo. So my plan was, even after the burial, I'll just chill here for a bit, do 6 months, 7 months in TZ.
Get a wife. And come back.
And then maisha, like, it was really, anyway. I was not thinking about it. I was not even thinking about her. Like, she was just my friend. She literally went back to be my best friend at this particular point. So yeah, she was just there for me. And her friends as well were really there and really distracting me. And so we just hung out and do normal things. Just hang out, just go here, do this, do that, just do events together. We'd never even... It was very few times that we were just the two of us. Like, it was just, most of the time, it was just all of us together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was...
And honestly, my advice to young people is that's the best way to get to know someone. Like in that group setting, just see how he is, how they are, whether it's a male or female, like just hang out and build the friendship. And slowly, organically, we now started having deeper conversations, more intentional conversations. And I was like, okay, God, what's happening? So my birthday is Feb 8th. And I remember Valentine's, we were not dating, but I think we hung out. And I was like, okay, sawa, looks like something is happening here. So I remember by Feb 17th, I was like, no, I don't like this guessing. Now I'm sure I like him. I am so sure. But I'm like, but where does he stand? Is this God's will? I have missed God a few times before, so I don't know. I'm not trying to rush, but I also need to know. So I remember journaling that day, and I was just telling God, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I'm sensing. Is this of you? And then I remember just being like, oh, when I wrote the date, it was Friday, 17th of Feb, 2017. I was like, it's a double-digit date. And I was like, God, may I feel like you do amazing things on double-digit days, so let's do this. All this I'm writing, I'm like, today, please confirm if Kevin is the one for me. And how I will know that this is you, he will ask me to be his girlfriend. It's so specific. I'm like, before today ends, because we've never talked about this. So him asking me would be like out of nowhere. So I'd know it's you, God. This is between me and you. This is 5 p.m. that I'm writing this. I'm like, before the end of the day. And on Fridays, we used to go for evening service. So he had started to attend our church here and there. And especially on Fridays, he would come for the Friday service. And so we were meeting that day. I was doing something else earlier, so I had my car, he had his, so we met at church. And he was running a bit late, so that's how I had time to journal a bit. And so he got there and then he was like, oh, let's go get sandwiches. We always used to go to Subway, get sandwiches, and then I'll come for service. So we just crossed over to Subway. We're just eating and having random conversation. And then we start talking about the Bible app. I'm like, yeah, you know, this verse, remember we used to really talk about spiritual things. So I was like, you know, like, yeah, I was doing this, I think it was a devotion plan on the Bible app. And he's like, what? The Bible app? I'm like, yeah, you don't know the new version Bible app? Let me show you. So I pull out my phone, I start showing him. And then I'm like, so every day there's a verse of the day. So I show him, you see, like today, it's this verse. And then I was like, huh. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. I was like, so we both paused for a second, just like, how is that the verse of the day? But I was just like, hey, God, okay, fine, moving on.
I see what you're doing.
I see what you're doing, but what are you doing? And then, yeah, we finish our sandwiches and we head for service. Hey, that service. Pastor Fred Geke, I'll never forget, he was a guest pastor that evening. Had never really had him preach, but I was like, okay, let's see. Wow, I feel like he was even looking at us the whole service. Honestly, it could have been, it felt like it, because now he was preaching about how to know you're ready for marriage. We were like, okay. And then his first point was, if you feel like you've gotten to a place in your life where God is everything, your relationship with God means the world to you, then you're ready for marriage. And I was like, how does that even, okay. And then now Kevin and I looked at each other, because that week we had had a very interesting conversation. And I had felt like I was spending way too much time with him, too much time talking to him, too much time just being social, and it was taking away from the time I used to spend with God. Because I used to fast weekly, I used to journal a lot, I used to just spend a lot of time in prayer because I was single and jobless, and literally that I had all the time to do that. But now with this one, he's always like, oh, let's go here, let's go there. And I'm like, yeah, let's go, let's do, let's do.
She used to take me to the farm. I used to farm in Juja.
Used to farm in Juja.
Pick in the morning, then
we go. And I'm
go
like,
to the farm, then go to our business, then chill with friends. Then it was a full day affair.
Yes.
Almost every day.
Exactly. So now I started feeling some type of way. I'm like, me and God are not connecting the way we used to. And this is the problem. So I started being a bit cold to him, and he was like, what's up? And then I told him, and he felt so bad. He was like, oh my gosh, if I'm taking you away from God, I'm willing to walk away. Like, he told me that one of the things he admires most about me is the bond I have with God. And we agreed, like, let there be boundaries, like we should, I mean, you pursue that, and we can even do it together. And I was like, okay. So now this pastor is saying that, we're just like, literally the fact, and he was looking at us as he's preaching, and we're like, hey, so I reminded God, I was like, remember what I told you? Before the end of today. So service ends, we hang out with people, kidogo, and then, okay, see you. We go to the parking lot. So we're walking towards the cars, and then out of nowhere, what did you say?
I asked her to be my girlfriend.
He literally said, will you be my girlfriend? And I'm like, huh? What?
You're shocked and you told God to do that.
I was so shocked because I did not think it would happen. Honestly, I don't know. I asked for it, but I didn't really believe it can happen. And then I was like, and that seems like it's come out of nowhere. Then he's like, no, did you hear the sermon? God is very clear. Like, I think it's time. And I panicked, and I was like, but you're just going to ask me, like, so unceremoniously, like, in the parking lot. Like, and I started causing drama, like, how he's done it. And he's like, okay, what do you want me to do? To go down on one knee? So I'll go down on one knee. He starts going down. I'm like, stand up, don't. People are looking. What are you doing? And I panicked, and I ignored, and I didn't answer. And I just started talking to friends, and I left him hanging.
At this particular point, this is now getting frustrating for me. Because I'm like, it's either you or now I'm in a tough take. As in, it's either you or not. It can't be on and off, in and out. So it's either you tell me today. If it's yes, it's a yes. If it's a no, it's a no. And it's a no now. We just be friends. Sure. We don't try this. Because me, I'm trying to go to TZ as well. So, yeah. And then
So we enter the cars.
So you enter yours and mine. Then
And
I
we
followed you.
drive. Yeah, so he used to insist that he's not comfortable with me driving alone at night. And so he was like, I'll follow you home. Once you get home, then I can go home. I was like, oh, that's sweet, but very unnecessary. But okay, let's do it. So he follows me home. And when I'm driving, I'm just like, God, I'm so sorry. You answered my prayer. And I didn't answer. I panicked. I don't know what that was. Okay, fine. God, please, I'm so sorry. Give me one more chance. Let him just ask me one more time. This time I'll say yes, and Aki will do this thing. Please. That time it's raining hard, so the wipers, I'm just like, wow, okay, trying to get home. So I get home, and then I'm like, but now how will he ask me? Because now he won't even come out of the car. It's raining. Okay. Anyway, so I'm just in my thoughts. I'm not even noticing. He's standing right outside my door, telling me to put down the window. I'm like, oh, sorry, yes. Sorry. Then I was like, yeah, did you forget something or what? Then he's like, you didn't answer my question. I'm like, what question? He's like, will you be my girlfriend? And then I was like, whew, okay, here we go. So I told him, I guess we can try. He's like, that's not going to cut it. No. Are we doing this or not? It's yes or no. So I was like, whew, okay, look at him taking his place. So I just said, okay, fine, yes, I'll be your girlfriend. 10 years later, full circle moment. I said yes. And then, how did you feel?
Felt good.
You were like, that's it.
I'm like, okay, so
Frustrations are done.
like one hurdle out of the way. You get, like, it was a hurdle. It was more of, I really liked her. I really liked her values, her family, her friends. Like, she was ideal, but it had to be a yes or a no. It can't be, let's try. I'm not trying to try here. It's a yes or a no. We'll still be friends, but So yeah, for me, it was all right. Cool.
Yeah, like, let's do this.
Let's do
So
this,
we
yeah.
start now officially dating, and it's nice. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Now he's treating me like a queen. Like, now I don't drive at all. I'm picked, I'm dropped. Hey, I became a baby girl. And I really enjoyed it. And I was like, wow, this is nice. It's nice to be loved. And I think even just knowing how far we had come, I was like, he genuinely loves me. He's seen the best and the worst sides of me. And he's decided to love me. And I felt that was so special. And I was like, thank you, God. Yay. And I was just basking in it. And then I get an email from Texas Bible Institute. You have been accepted. And I'm like,
No, it's okay.
In fact, not only have you been accepted, but you have a full scholarship. Just bring yourself. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, so I'm like, imagine I have to go to Bible school. Like, God has provided. He's made sure I've been accepted. I've gotten the scholarship. Why am I not going? I am not working. Like, that's the next best thing for me. But now there's this relationship. It's like, God, you've answered my two biggest prayers, but now it's conflicting. What do I do? And we had a conversation, and Kevin had always said he will never do long distance.
The world really listened.
So now I'm like, okay, yeah, we are. Me, I'm going.
Long distance.
Yeah.
So
It's almost like we were saying. It's almost like God is trying to prove to us that you can do the things you think you can't do. The things you think can never happen, they will happen, and He will give you the grace for it.
Yeah.
And so we had a conversation. We were like, you know what? Let's try this. Let's do this. But I didn't know how long I was going for. It was maybe 8 months, a year and a half. I didn't know. So now I was like, hey, okay. So I went back to God and I told him, hey, God, now I need this relationship to be solid. I need that to be a commitment so that I know I'm coming back. Because again, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste Kevin's time. So please, before I leave, this is July. Before I leave end of August, I need a ring to know that there's a commitment. And so I prayed and I left it. And I kid you not, August, Kevin talked to my parents. He had been praying and he felt like, engaging her is the next thing. So he went, had a meeting with my dad, asked for his blessing, and said, my intention is to marry your daughter. And can I have your blessing? My dad said, by all means, feel free. This is only 6 months after we started dating, but we have so much history, everyone, so it wasn't a problem for anyone. And so he planned this whole engagement again with my community, with all my friends, my sisters. We went. It was a private proposal, just me and him. He had a full day of just treating me. We went for a movie. We went for a drive. I loved long drives. We went for a drive, a movie.
The drive, I was looking for somewhere to propose.
Oh yeah. Then he chickened out.
I was like, Mazi, hey, kanda barabara.
But it would have been nice. Like me, I was like, this is so peaceful. I thought he was going to propose, but then he didn't. So I was like, oh, I guess I was dreaming. Okay. So now I put that thought aside. I was like, when we were out in the fields and it was so beautiful, he didn't propose, so this is not happening. But now later, we were at the movies.
No, the parking lot.
Oh, the parking lot. It's parking lot.
We were just parked like this at Garden City. So we just parked. I was like, baby, it's either here or not. Just opened the door, went out, opened her door.
Went down on one knee, removed the ring and said, will you marry me? I was like, what? I was like, yes, I will. But we're in the parking lot. It's like, I've had pressure the whole day. I just needed to get this out of the way. So we went for a movie. We're going to watch a movie. Didn't even pay attention to that movie. I was like, I was just looking at me. I was like, I'm okay. Oh my gosh. I was like, I can't wait to call my mom and my sisters. They already knew and they were planning a whole party for me. And so when we got home, he was dropping me off. It was nighttime now. I was like, okay, let me go tell my people. And everyone is there. Surprise! I was like, wait, what? It was so beautiful. And I was like, okay, I'm going to Bible school and I know we're engaged. Thank God. Yes. And that long distance thing, he really aced it. Like, he did better than me even. He didn't want me to feel like I'm missing out on home. Because again, I'm already so far. I'm homesick. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm alone. So he would literally vlog his day for me. Like from morning, he's like, I'm just woken up. This is what I'm doing. He'd send me videos. So because of time difference, I would wake up when it's my morning, it's the end of his day. And I have this whole series of videos to watch about what he did the whole day. And I was like, this is so nice. He's not the best communicator, but that time he was top.
By the grace of God. We just told God, okay, so mercy. You've given us this. It's up to you there. Show me how to do it, or give me the grace to do it rather. Just give me the grace to do it, so that I'm not fumbling. I'm not trying to do it in my own strength. Because otherwise I would have fumbled. I would have just said, tired of this. 2-3 days of not doing it, I would have gotten comfortable. And, slowly but surely gotten back to where I was. But by His grace,
you made it. So we can fast forward to now. How long did you stay in Texas, and you planning your wedding, and now to the marriage part?
Okay, so I was in Texas for about a year. Thankfully, I came back. Did I come back once or twice? At least I came back a bit. And then I came back once. And then I remember end of March 2018, I was in prayer. And I was like, okay, God, I was praying about my life. No, we were doing a 3-day fast. God had led us to do a 3-day fast to pray for our friends. He was like, for 3 days, don't pray for yourselves. Not a single prayer for yourselves. Pray for your friends. And I was like, that's a very interesting thing. Because we had read this scripture, Job 42:10. It said after Job had prayed for his friends, God basically gave him double of what he had before. Yes, that's what it says. So that was such a revelation for us. We're like, there's power in praying for your friends. Let's pray for our friends. And then God said, yes, 3-day fast. So we did it. And it was beautiful. It was like, wow, kumbe. That's when I realized, hey, we pray a lot for ourselves. It's so easy to pray for yourself, but to pray for others. But by the third day, we had gotten the rhythm. It was so nice, so fulfilling. We were like, yeah, this is awesome. So I remember we went for a service in school, and it just coincided with me breaking my fast. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And as I was there in that service, I just felt God speak to me. And he said, you're getting married. And I was like, yay, okay, sour. But he told me, listen, I'm going to be revealing things to you that you have to cover in prayer. Don't talk about it with anyone, not even Kevin. So for starters, you're getting married on July 7th this year. This is March 29th. So I'm like, June, July, May, June, July. So 3 months from now. But I'm still here for another month. So it'll be 2 months. I go home and then 2 months later I'm married. How? But I was like, God, you've said it, so I will cover it in prayer. And I prayed over it. And I was like, hey, this is so interesting. I was busy praying for my friends, but God gave me a revelation about my life. And yeah, that scripture is real. Okay. And so after a few weeks, God allows me to tell Kevin. And he's like, yeah, I knew it. Because he always used to tell me, I don't think we'll get married at the end of the year. Because we had said, we'll get married maybe in December. Maybe by then we'll be, I'll be back. We'll have money. You know, weddings are expensive. So we're like, okay, we'll have planned ourselves. But now God is saying July. So I tell him, and me, I'm panicking. Because I'm like, how? I know his business at that time was not doing so well. It was pretty slow.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't have money to start throwing our wedding. But okay, I don't know, let me tell him.
And the families are big.
Yeah.
Has to be 800, 900 bucks.
Like, how are we doing this? But anyway, fine. So I tell him and he's like, yeah, me, I knew it. Now he's so full of faith. He's like, yeah, I knew we'd get married sooner. So if God says July, it's July. And I'm like, okay, but okay, the nitty-gritties. But anyway, let's leave that to God. So I come back home. I stay a week without telling my family because I'm just like, this is crazy. Then finally I tell my mom and she's like, that's what God is saying. So I thought she would talk me out of it and be like, hey, that's a bit crazy. But she's like, if that's what God is saying, let's do it. I'm like, hey, okay. So next thing is to tell my dad. My dad was like, I don't see how we can pull off a whole wedding. And all the other meetings, like, the introduction, the traditional wedding, all that in 2 months. How? Well, like, that's what God is saying. Us, we are literally just flowing. And then my dad is like, hey, okay. So my mom comes up with this idea. She's like, how about we have a small intimate thing on July 7th? You guys exchange your vows. Then now we plan the big wedding for December. I was like, that's perfect. When she told my dad was like, yeah, that we can do. So now everyone is on board. The next day, we're all at my shosho's house. Family meeting. These guys are getting married.
In fact, that was making sense because now we had a compound. So
yeah.
Okay, so guys can come here.
You can just do it at home.
Just do it here, $50. Really, ABCD.
Just call the pastor. Have a nice lunch for everyone. That we can do. Okay, if that's the wedding, fine. And me, I've never been fussy. I was like, in fact, my ideal would have been my people plan. My wedding may just show up. That's the kind of person I am. I'm just like, it's not that deep. And so then I remember after that meeting, one of my aunties was at the meeting, but her husband wasn't there. Let me just mention, my auntie, Reverend Kathy Kiuna, was there, and Bishop Alan wasn't at the meeting, the late. May his soul rest in peace. So when she went home, my uncle was like, wait, why Akina Olivia getting married? Like, why do they have 2 weddings? And then my auntie was like, actually, I don't know. Let me call her and ask her. Yeah, actually, why are we doing 2? So she wasn't sure. And so she was like, okay, let me call and ask her. So she calls me and she's like, Oli, why are you guys having 2 weddings? And I was like, it's just for the folks. Us, July 7th is our wedding. And then she's like, what? Okay, so it's because of your dad that you're having the second wedding. I'm like, yes. She's like, leave that to me. So she's my dad's sister. So she's like, leave that to me. I'll deal with your dad. I was like, okay. So she talks to my dad. And then, the next day, she's like, okay, you guys are having 1 wedding. Your dad is on board. I'm like, okay. Wow.
Things start coming together.
Yes.
We're not even, my goodness.
And just like that, God literally sent people who supported us. We never asked anyone for help, but God provided
Literally,
over
there was no
and
committee.
above.
There was nothing like,
Yeah,
WhatsApp groups.
actually, let's chaga.
None of
let's
that.
I didn't
People
want that
just
kind
came.
of thing.
And like, I used to work at Kubamba at some point. One of my friends was like, I'll DJ for free. Someone else would come like that, like, hey, my dress. Someone's like, I'll get you your dress. I'll do this, I'll do that. We
We're not
didn't
even
spend,
asking.
we
We're
didn't
just-
ask. God
Guys are just-
literally sent people to cover our entire wedding. We had a 600 pax wedding with a nice live band in a very posh area, very serene. Like, wow, it was a beautiful wedding, and we only paid for our rings. Everything else was covered. We were like, wow, God, wow.
Literally.
Yes,
Especially after doing the Rora show. I think we did the Rora show and
the Rora show was 2 weeks before the
2
wedding.
weeks before the wedding.
And the Rora show was 300 people.
It was 300 bucks.
And
So we had already
it was a
maxed
lot.
on that.
Yeah.
Ah,
But God came through. We literally didn't spend.
It was his project.
Nothing. It
For
was.
sure, for sure.
Yes, I always say, if it's God's will, it's His bill. You don't worry,
Oh,
just
wow.
walk in obedience.
as hard as it is.
Yes, it wasn't easy to walk by faith, because just like, what are we doing? But God's grace is sufficient.
Yeah.
And now here we are, almost 7 years later.
In marriage.
Yes.
Yes. To
But you
kids.
guys look so young. Someone wouldn't tell.
Yes, imagine with 2 kids. We have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. God has been good to us.
Yeah. How has been the marriage journey for you? What was so different from the dating part of your life to now getting to marriage? What really changed between the two of you?
What changed? For me, what changed? I think I was comfortable enough. Like at that particular point, now I could move on. Like I could now pursue something else. I had the person that I trusted. That was very important for me, because I knew where I was going. I knew I'm trying to build an empire here, so I can't have somebody siphoning on this end. And, I have to trust that I can actually leave a bit of wealth. And you would just nyorosha it just because. And that was very comforting for me. So now it's
So you are settled.
I'm all settled now. Let's go.
For me honestly, I struggled a bit that first year of marriage, because one, I'd never lived with anyone other than my parents and my sisters. So this is like, okay, so it's me running this home now. Okay, then now learning him and how he lives, we are so different. I'm just like, hiya. Then now when dishes pile up in the kitchen, it's whose work? Hiya, it's mine. Hey, there's no house help coming to, hey. I was like, hiya, okay, we need a system in this house. So I started getting so frustrated. I'm just like, I don't know, I was not ready for this. Like thinking about cooking, shopping, like it's me. My mom would really do all that. Like I was like, okay. Then now, we're just so different in the way we do things. He'll just go and be like, oh yeah, I need to make a sandwich. He'll make a sandwich, leave the bread there open. I'm like, dude, who's going to clean up after you? Like, oh my gosh, it was in the first year. We struggled. We butted heads a lot. Hey, we had some really intense fights over small things, but it was just part of finding our rhythm. Yeah. Eventually, we were fine. Even for intimacy now, before marriage, we were celibate. We were waiting for marriage. So now all of a sudden, supposed to switch. And like, me, I struggled. Him, he was fine. And me, I was just like, I had gotten so used to just hanging out with my friends. Me, I'm just hanging out with my friends. A few cuddles and I'm good. Him is like, what's happening? Just like, oh. So no one really helped me transition. I feel like there was a gap. From celibacy to now. You're married. Sex is a beautiful thing. Wow. That I struggled, and I was like, why aren't more people talking about this?
You didn't take the premarital classes?
We did, but it was not enough. Like a few weeks of just, this is years of me being conditioned. We can't undo it in just a few weeks.
Just because somebody has
Yeah, just because I've sat with my
said,
aunties
doesn't
and
mean
my
I
mom.
should change.
Yeah.
Just because
Like
there's
people tried.
a lot that we struggle with, that we were taught. We went through the course. But when you get to the real thing,
You're like,
the rubber hits the road.
Okay.
It's not just roses. You pambana with it, mpaka you fine tune it. You tailor make it for you.
Yes.
Tailor make the whole thing for you. Because you'll be told this, but that
doesn't necessarily work in this relationship.
This particular person doesn't. So there's a lot that you have to really go through.
Yeah. So for all those who are newlyweds and wondering, why isn't it blissful? Why aren't we in this honeymoon phase? It's just part of the process. Like trust it. Yeah. Work together. Yes. Now at least, a few years in, we're like,
now marriage is beautiful and it's easy to gel in together because now you've learned about each other.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, that was such a beautiful story. Before maybe we close this episode, maybe is there something that you felt like we would have touched on that we didn't speak about? And also the final segment of this episode is usually you looking at each other and telling each other the sweetest words you can think of.
Yo.
Wow.
Tumempata Mr. Kimathi.
Ati yo.
Okay.
Yes. Anything?
No, I don't think so. I think we've gone through it.
Yeah. I believe, marriage is a beautiful thing. I'll just tell young ladies to put God first. I feel like if I had not tried to do things my way, we would have gotten married sooner. We would have settled sooner. But I don't regret it. I am grateful for the process and the journey. And that's the whole reason why we share our story. Yeah. It's not because we've made it, no. I just feel like maybe my experience, my mistakes can help someone else. Absolutely. And I pray that, we can be more open. And if someone had talked to me about some of these things, I wouldn't have made those mistakes. Yeah.
Nice one. Now, before we go to the sweet words part, for people who would like to maybe come to your business to look what you do for CVs, looking at that camera, you can tell them where they can find you. And maybe you can also share with us links that we'll put on the pinned comment for people to get you easily.
All right. Yes. So for me, I guess I am on Instagram as Olivia_Kimathi. I am on Facebook, Olivia Wambui Kimathi. I'm on LinkedIn, Olivia Kimathi. And I am ready to help you revamp your CVs. I even have a book. I have an ebook that's a guide to help people just navigate the job market, whether it's interviews, whether it's CVs, whether it's your first few days at work, how do you make an impression. All those things are in the book, and it's only going for 1,000 bob. Only 1,000 bob. Okay. So yes, you can grab a copy or come. Let's talk about your CV, and I'll be happy to help.
Okay.
Yes.
Again, my company is called Thorn Expedition. We tailor make experiences really for you to travel. So you can find us on Facebook, Thorn Expedition. On Instagram, Thorn Expedition. On LinkedIn, Thorn Expedition. So please follow, like, watch what you're doing. Please book a trip. We definitely do something with you guys.
Nice one. An office number maybe?
Yes, definitely. I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thank you. Now we can go ahead to my favorite part of this episode. I'll sit back and be here smiling.
Let me give my few words because mine are very few. I'm on a few words. I think talking about this story has really made me appreciate what God did for us. And I'm glad that you're the one. I'm glad that what God showed me when I was 17, 18, that this very symmetrical face and very beautiful human is going to be my wife. And it all worked out. So I love you.
I love you too. Oh, thank you. I thank God for you, Mr. Kimathi. And I'm grateful for this far we've come. And I'm looking forward to the adventures ahead. Yesterday was your birthday.
Oh yeah.
Happy belated birthday
Thank you.
once again.
Thank you.
And I believe this is very significant. Like, this is how we start the new year, doing things together. Welcome
New
to my
things.
world. New
Yeah.
things, yes.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I'm excited to see where we go. May God continue to guide us. I love you.
I love you too.
Okay. Thank you guys for sharing your story with
welcome.
us. Thank you for trusting us with your marriage story. I know that's an intimate part of your life. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to let our audience know that about Mr. and Mrs. Kimathi. Finally, I can say that after 10 years.
Yes, finally.
And to you, our viewer, thank you for staying with us up to this point of this episode. You can always leave us a comment to let us know what was your take home from this episode. And remember that the links to their social handles and even their office number will be on the pinned comment below. Make sure you watch this episode, like, leave a comment, and share to your friends. Until next time, my name is Njerimasi. Keep it Tuko.